guys, what can we talk about? Because, yeah, of course, the doom and gloom bear posts. There is a lot of bear posting. Um, Also in here with Sherlock. But I, I think, like what Griff said, like he's letting his Monday. Griff, you're here. Good, good. Nice on the 4 hour or the 15 minutes. It bounced off golden pocket. I just saw it. Yeah, yeah. Could be could be nice. I'm in a Bitcoin long, by the way, for anybody who needs a little of hopium. Uh, can just as well get stopped out though. But yeah, you know. But nah, what I wanted to say, guys, is yes. Um, there's charts that show bearishness, but it's always the way you look at it. Like I always say, there's hundred thousands of ways to trade. There's hundred thousands of ways to look at the chart. So now what I'm not going to do is lie to you and say, yeah, okay, everything is bullish as fuck, because it's not. Especially with what's happened like over the last couple of weeks. And of course it's been in like it started the 10th of October and then this downwards move, and you can look at like on-chain indicators and see yeah, just because, man, we all blame it on you, Luke. We all blame it on you. um, but if I look at it from like psychological perspective again, and from well, the emotion side of it, if you let one trader or one person get to you because of his or her views, um, yeah, and I think that's like every trader has, I think, some sort of bias. It's hard to be unbiased, but that's what you try to do. You try to be as objective as possible if you look at charts, and you try to stick to your own plan. I think I put up the post the other day. If you want to look for bearish stuff right now, you will find it. If you want to look bullish stuff, you will find it. Well, if you don't focus on the charts, but you look at like the, how do you say, the macroeconomics, we're on the verge of ending QT, quantitative tightening, going back to quantitative easing at some point, and when that gets like actually spoken of, that's when you historically see money flow in. I still believe till today that what we see in crypto is fucked by all the ETFs inflow. Basically, if you ask me, I think there hasn't been a moment in this cycle where there was full retail euphoria. Um, but there was money to be made because there was money flowing in from the ETFs. And I think without the ETFs, like I always said, I think go back and watch some old videos. I said, okay, without the ETFs, I never thought, or I honestly believe we never would have made that early all-time high before halving. Um, but there's, I think, no way to get that out of our system and then look at the charts. Okay, what would have done it without the ETFs? But I do believe it has. Yeah, good morning, Jay. It has an impact on, well, it has an impact on what we see today. And I think what happened over the last couple of weeks is that liquidation event, where probably some big market maker, and there's talks about Wintermute or whatever, but there's somebody who's offloading their Bitcoin, just, well, maybe to fill the gaps they ended up with after the October 10th cascade. I do believe that, and I think if you look in general, if you look at the charts and you look at altcoins, and their lower time frame moves compared to Bitcoin, like you've seen yesterday, we've seen Bitcoin go up a little bit. Most altcoins move harder, especially like the old Dino coins. They move harder up, or say they expand more in comparison to Bitcoin, and they have, in my opinion, on this whole dump less downside. If you'd seen how they would react like on the 10th of October, and then you look at today and how they have been behaving from like the 100k drop to the 80k drop, um, the drop was more significant in Bitcoin than it was in altcoins. Not saying we can go low, but that tells me something about, well, the strength and where the money is flowing right now. So again, we've spoken about this before. It's like just money going round and round without, well, new capital getting into the market. Now, some people might say, okay, 75k is the next stop. This is just a dead cat bounce or just a short squeeze whenever we go up. And I do think that TA wise, so technical analysis wise, we have to look at the chart and have to say, okay, yes, there's a possible head and shoulders. Let me get this chart on the screen. 4 hours. Yeah, let's look at 4 hours, because 4 hours is nice to see. Like, yeah, we cannot argue that we're in a downtrend, right? Especially on, well, if you look at 4 hours. So this was the 10 this was the 10 October crash, or flash crash, whatever you want to call it. And since then we never truly recovered, just had sideways, and then we had the new dump like last week. Last 2 weeks, it's just been down without any proper bounce, right? Basically this was the first proper bounce. Also, if you look at volume, what was it I'm looking at, like the buying candles where we move up or bigger volume, then so it moves down on low volume. But what I want to say is, if we look at this chart, yes, we cannot say, okay, until like significant highs are broken again, we can turn bias. So it's not weird to look for, I say to look for higher time frames, so swing shorts, and look for smaller time frames longs until certain levels are broken. And like I said yesterday, my first level is 89, acceptance above. Why? Because, well, as you can see here, you know the way I trade. Now, I did take this Bitcoin long trade, but it's more of a swing trade, because I do believe, well, it can turn around at any point. But if you look at like chart wise, and you know the way I trade, this is the 200 EMA 4 hours. This is the 50 EMA on the 4 hours. As long as we don't move above this, price is bearish, right? So as you can see here, if we zoom in, we did like touch this and then reject it here. So that was yesterday, and that was, well, I think CB said 89.2 is like where we could possibly go short, and he was right, as we rejected here. And like I said, my first step into recovery is 89k, acceptance above 89k. As you can see here, we just, well, we didn't accept above it yet, but this is the first move I would look for to see some bullish recovery for me personally. And why did I enter a 4 hour trade? I've had it hit it. Let me give it and show it. Or did I? Well, I just completely. I entered, I think, at 87k on this 3-bar reversal, because I like the strength. If you look at volume, I'm not sure if you can see it very well on here, but this are the volume candles. As you can see here, the buying candles on these moves up have more volume. That's why pushing price up. And as you can see, in comparison, the volume on the moves down are smaller. So make of that as you will, and you can look at it and well, have a different opinion on that. And that's again what also makes it hard. Like, the more analysts we get into the Discord, the more different views you will get, and some people will be bearish and some people will be bullish. And focus on Will Sauce, for example. He's looking for longs on these long weighted entries that he's been looking for. So yeah, 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 he fucked us all, Lou. That's the answer to that question. Thanks. Whenever we don't make it, we'll just have to thank Luke. Um, so again, for me, first level to go above is, well, this high right now. So we made overnight, or yesterday night. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, so the 4 hour count. So this high, but basically you want to see this high broken if you want to talk about like market structure. Um, we made a low here, so this was the lower high. Then we made a new low here, so we broke this low. So this becomes the last lower high on this whole move down. So if you want to look at market structure, we had a break of structure here. Now all you want to see is a move above this high to to confirm market structure shift to the upside on the 4 hour though. So again, yeah, you are. Now again, like, we can look at it in different ways. So if we just reject here, this will just be like, if we don't reclaim this high, it could just go and make a new low eventually. Like, yeah, change of character or a market structure shift. There are different ways or different things you can call it, but yeah, break of structure is just a continuation of the trend, and change of character or market structure shift. There are different names, ICT names, or MSS and MSB. I think I'm not into ICT too much, and I think there's like, maybe there's just a little small difference or significance in how exactly you'd use them, but basically you want to see that change of character. You want to see yeah, you're right, Kevin, you're right. So let's look at the daily. Basically on the daily, if you really want to talk about highs and lows, right? We broke this low. So once a low is broken, the high before that becomes significant, if you ask me. It's how I look at it, right? Somebody else could say, okay, yeah, but I look at it different. Yeah, probably. This is how I look at it. And maybe I'm wrong, but it works for me. So you gotta understand this if you trade. Like, if you have a system or a strategy or the way you look at it and it works, don't let anybody else tell you, yeah, well, it's not good, or you should do something else. Nah, just stick to it as long as it works, right? But again, we had this low here. We broke this low here. Then this one becomes the significant high. So before that, it was this. This was a significant high. These are not significant as long as nothing is broken. Then we broke this. Then this became the significant high. Let me just point it out. So we have all-time high, which was previous month. Feels like ages ago. We have then this low. So the highest point here is this one, because then we broke here. So this broke. Then we made a new high here, just below the 50 and the 200 EMA on the daily. So honestly, higher time frame, as long as we do not reclaim above this one, 107.5K, consider on the higher time frame being bearish. Doesn't mean you can be bullish on lower time frame again. So it's and then if we go this high, if we take this high, then the idea of that head and shoulders comes into play. Not talking about the head and shoulders on the dandruff part, but the head and shoulders on the technical analysis part. As you can see here, this would then be the left shoulder, this would be the head, and there would be a right shoulder here, which, well, falls exactly into this. So this is an idea, or this is a hypothesis, or however you want to call it. Well, what could happen, right? I think CB posted it the other day. There's like, you have this one, or we can just, move higher and then go lower. So if we follow the trend line, so yeah, it's better to look at it on the weekly, because in the weekly, those tops are more, we see them better. Let's Just give me a second and I'll hide this one. Yogi, good morning. So yeah, this is like, if we would say, okay, so yeah, then we have this one and then this one, and maybe we'll make this new head here on the right shoulder, which is the daily market structure shift change of character, like saying whatever you want to call it. But that would mean we would still see a move up, well, back to that 108k area. Now, what is also significant in strength of altcoins, you should be able to see my, it's like I do streaming with camera, so you have to look at my camera, not the screen. I'm not sharing a screen, I'm just, so if nobody else sees it, what are you guys doing? I hope hopefully everybody sees it though. I think if you're on phone, it's different. I think you have to tap on something. Not sure though. But I changed my setup. So please, if anybody does not see me, let me know. Oh yeah, you can see it on phone. Thanks, Gav. Great for for telling me. So what I wanted to say is, well, we can have this move up. So if this move up, if you then look at, why am I on swing? So I have this macro chart here. Oh yeah, the Bitcoin dominance. Fuck that. Yogi. Man, it's still early in the morning. Now, okay, so this is, well, head and shoulders, distributive pattern, whatever you want to call it. What you see a lot happening is that you have a higher high, and then, a sort of the same high to the right. But this is Bitcoin dominance chart. Now you can have Bitcoin dom, you have stable coin dominance, and you have all these charts that Sherlock uses, but I don't. I just use this USC dominance. This thing we always seen, and I think what is good to see is Ether dominance and Ether Bitcoin. Again, I've posted this like a long time ago. For the first time, I think when we were here, like I said, okay, if we see eyes on Ethereum, it's still eyes on Ethereum against Bitcoin, as you can see here. Why? Because I do believe that eventually what you want to see is you want to see strength on Ethereum compared to Bitcoin on this move up. And as you can see here, we now, like, basically for the first time actually broke above this trend line, and we broke back above the 200 EMA on the daily, and we had now a retest of the trend line. This is more to show you the strength of Ethereum. So if this moves up, it means Ethereum moves stronger than Bitcoin does. So you want to see this go up, and you want to see Bitcoin go up, right? And you want to see Bitcoin dominance go down, and then eventually you want to see, and I think we're still like, this is others dominance. Yeah, we still have this trend line. Descending is that, yeah, descending trend line. And to speak with Sherlock, in Sherlock his ways, where there is a trend line, there's always a breakout at some point. So yeah, not going to tell you whenever that is, because I actually don't know anymore. But yeah, I do believe that you want to see Ether dominance moving up against Bitcoin dominance moving down. Eventually. So there's, well, you can look at it again. You can look at it in different ways. You can have different opinions. You have different views on, well, what's happening, on where we're going. I do believe what happened at the beginning of October, and then where we are right now, it's been relentless, and it's been hard, and it's been not what we had expected. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately, like, especially like, well, when we made that all-time high before halving, I think everybody expected. There was nobody who was not expecting a move higher and that this would be the run of the runs. And I think what happened eventually is, well, that's, I think, also why a lot of people, well, bought the top right there, right? Because the consensus was, like, the consensus was then, again, so think about this. The consensus then was there's going to be an epic bull run. What's the consensus now? If you look at most people, can say, yeah, bear market started, we're going lower. In significance moments in a market, if you look back, majority is always wrong. And I'm not saying that everybody's wrong and that we can't go lower and that maybe there's a chance bear market started. But what I'm saying is that historically, majority has always been wrong. Make of that as you will. And I hope, I do believe that it has to be the next couple of months that we actually going to see the turnaround. Because if not, then I actually believe it's going to be, well, take maybe a longer while. But honestly, again, and I will say this, and I said this before on different streams. Yeah, everybody says your cycle's gone, 4-year cycle is gone to shit, and yes, technically maybe, but time wise not. So technically, there hasn't been the run up on alts that we've seen like in the last phases of former bull runs. But if you look at it like just time wise, 4 years ago, 8 years ago was 2017. Said this the other day also. Bitcoin ran up in December through December 2017, January 2018. Then altcoins went parabolic in Q1 of 2018. So, in my opinion, cycle-wise, it could still be, and it could be with Bitcoin like slowly moving up back to that 110K and then make that right shoulder and then eventually drop. But what if we just, like, the whole move down last week, I think it was also part of, like, I think Sherlock shared that, and I agree that it was part of the Fed, not, or that there was no data release, and then eventually the chances of a Fed rate cut dropped to like 25%. And then one person on the board of the Fed spoke about, yeah, I think, or I'm for rate cuts because the data tells us that we need to cut, and then suddenly the odds are back up to 70%, which resulted in yesterday's move up. So I think, so if you look at it, I think where your focus should be is on the macroeconomics. And if you want, go look back at the other times when eventually quantitative easing hit the market rather than quantitative tightening. I do believe, and I think that also adds to the market we have seen, is like the wars we have going on, the tariff war, the Feds being more hesitant to cut interest rates. So basically, that 2024 idea of, okay, everything's going to happen right now, got like this macroeconomic break on it, that's been holding, in my opinion, it back. And the only thing, well, institutions, they have a lot of money, but people, they sit on their cash and they say, okay, I'm just going to put it in bonds or whatever, just risk off assets. So there has not been, like, from, well, my point of view, there has not been a moment of this retail euphoric risk on market where money starts to flow. And the problem, again, of course, is we're in crypto. And we're not in Bitcoin and Ether. We are in altcoins. So, yeah. Again, there can be like 50, 100x coins without, well, drawdowns of 80%. Right? And I'm not saying, of course, if we dive deep into the technicals, the cycle looks different. But again, Solana did an 80% down move last cycle after halving, or after like we had a sort of top, and then it did 80% down. And after that 80%, or even 90%, I'm not sure, 80%, 90%, I don't have the numbers exactly, but it did like an 80% drawdown to then from the bottom do another 220x. I'm not saying we're at the same, like, well, things will move the same, but I honestly believe that we just have to wait for the risk on appetite to return, for people to start putting money where their mouth is and start, well, going back onto risk on. And it's just factual that in times of quantitative tightening, when there are higher rates, there is no money flowing. There's no money flow. There's just money flowing in risk off assets. And crypto is risk on. If anything, well, it's risk on, right? So yeah, honestly, if you ask me, well, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. You're welcome, Spud. Good to see you here. Now, but what I meant to say is, or what I am saying is that you can look at things different ways, and there's always something bullish to be found, and there's always something bearish to be found. And the question is, what's your goal, right? Is your goal to day trade? Then it's simple, and you have to look at the charts and go off what your technical analysis say. If you're an investor, you just have to endure. Add where possible. If you have the conviction, add where possible. I'm not saying it's not financial advice. Now, but what I'm saying is that if you are an investor, and that is what your focus is, it's what Kevin said. We always try to teach you that it's supposed to feel over before it actually starts going higher. And yeah, you could say, yeah, but that's every time, and it's been feeling like it's over for ages now, and we haven't turned around, and then we thought it was over, and then it even dipped more. Yeah, of course. But the only thing we can go off, if we knew what we know today, we wouldn't have been going fully in the market like over 2024, right? But it's always hindsight bias, or hindsight trading is like the easiest. It's always like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, but why didn't I get out there? It was obvious. Yeah, in hindsight it is obvious, but on the moment itself, it is not. So yeah, doesn't mean doesn't mean we cannot go lower from here. Doesn't mean we can go up. Well, that's basically it. When we either go up or we go down, right? Or we range a little bit, but that's the market. And if you are in here for the multiple tens, 20 gains, yeah, they are absolutely, in my opinion, still possible, but no guarantee, because it's never guaranteed. Not any risk you take involving your money or putting it into some, well, investment, there is never a guarantee that you will get the results that you aim for, right? Then we got to go off the market, and we got to just go. But honestly, I don't believe that we have 30 cycle top indicators. You can look them up all. We have 30 cycle top indicators, and that none of those cycles top indicators flashed. None of them hit yet. 0 of 30 hit. And that this is the end of the bull run. Make of that as you will. Take some positiveness out of that. But yeah, we also got to trade the charts, trade the plan, trade our setup. So if we go short, we go short. If there isn't, well, as long as certain levels don't get flipped, it means we're like higher time frame bearish, so we'll look for shorts, right? Doesn't mean you can trade off lower time frames and go long, because yeah, that's still the way to go, right? And I think if you're in this Discord, there's so much more you can focus on rather than just sitting on capital and having that sit in your investments. Well, maybe less capital right now, but focus on futures, focus on trading, focus on following signals, focus on trying to learn and teach yourself how to trade. And don't, well, if you're at the start of your journey, make sure to keep it, how do you say, to keep it simple for yourself. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Harsh is doing his course, and I think a lot of you jumped on that or have done it in the past. I think that's the best way to fast track your learning, or to because I do believe he's a great teacher, especially when it comes to technical analysis. You have me doing, well, different things. I do these talks, right? These are, well, we can talk about anything. You can ask me anything. I do the Tuesday night beginner sessions. So yeah, those are ongoing. Tonight will be like the first actual. Last week was an introduction. This week we'll start, but it will start simple. That's like actually beginner stuff. It's actually about, okay, what are centralized exchanges, what are exchanges, what are wallets, well, the basic stuff, and then just gradually building that up in 6 weeks, to have like this foundation for yourself to understand crypto, to understand what we do in here, to follow signals, and to follow start reading the charts. Then we have like the education zone. So guys, there is, and I know a lot of you have been in here for long, so maybe I'm just talking to the couple of people that haven't been in here for long, but you gotta make the most out of it while you're in it. And I think value wise, you get a lot back, a lot back. And yes, of course we did expect like 2-3 years ago that we would be in a different spot right now. But what this market proves is that majority is always wrong, like almost always. So yeah, this time it can be different. That's also what you always hear on every, how do you say it, every cycle again. So the only thing we can do is just go off macroeconomic situation, focus on that if you're more of an investor type. If you're trading, follow the pros, and also follow your own intuition and the things you see on the chart that help you. But make sure to not, mix up your hope of the market turning around with your bias that you have when you day trade, because it does feel, I said this the other week too, it does feel harder to go short when you're too attached to your portfolio, because going short in this market means that your portfolio might get another battering, right? So we kind of don't want to get into shorts, while the market might tell us, and technical wise or data wise or objectiveness of the chart tells us, yeah, we have to go short here. But in your back of your mind, you have that hope that market starts to turn around, and well, because that's good for your portfolio, and that might get you into longs on places where you shouldn't long. So there's always these kind of things that you have to take into consideration if you day trade or if you trade for yourself. And and also I believe that the way, because Judd, you were saying, feels, of course, and that is, sentiment feels closer to things going the other way. It's always that, and like the next time we are all bullish like that, maybe we have to, that's the first time we have to start taking profits. Of course we don't know, and we will see whenever we get to that point. But it's also with the Discord, it's been quiet lately. It's been quiet. So I'm glad we have like 25 people in the audience this morning, because I know it's early. So I might do, I'm rebuilding the trading psychology course, so that will take a couple of, maybe a month or two to actually have a new trading psychology course. But maybe I will do some TMT talks on Thursday evening. Um, yeah, that's good. That's good. I think this is, well, it is a market for shorting until it is not anymore. And when that moment comes, we just don't know. We just don't know. So, yeah. As always, there's a lot things to do rather than just sit and watch your portfolio. Yeah, just don't watch your portfolio. Focus on your own futures trading. Focus on following signals if you're possible, and focus on learning. Make sure that when you get to that point that you, in a year from now, sit on a big bag of cash. Yeah, that would be nice. And don't forget the value of money, right? I think we sometimes forget, especially when we trade and we see people make a lot of big bucks. And well, don't forget that every person financial situation is different, and somebody comes in with a 10k trading account and somebody comes in with a 100 dollar trading account. So take that into account, but never forget the value of money, because it becomes so easy to think, yeah, fuck it, I only made $100 a day. I only made $100 today. But you gotta understand how much you can do with $100 in real life. So if you like, $100 is a lot of money for a lot of people. It is. And well, never forget that. That's just, well, something I wanted to say. Because I do believe that the more you see people making big money, the less happy you get with the money you make yourself, even though it's just small. Like I say, because not every, I think what you see in profits, and I love it. I love seeing people making it and going on a winning streak, and but never forget that we all had our own journey in that, and the end result says nothing, or somebody else's end result says nothing about your progress or where you are in your journey. um, so yeah. I agree. I just saw what you said, Luke. I do believe. I think there's a lot of people in here, well, focusing too much or checking their portfolio too much. Why would you check your portfolio? Then you get those things like yesterday saying, yeah, okay, we had like a 5k move up after a 30k or a 40k move down, and then suddenly we're back. Nah, we're not back yet, man. Let's focus on level by level. Um, so yeah, we just have to take it day by day, day by day. Rest of the week, rest of the week, I'll be in here every morning. So tomorrow morning, not sure what time yet. Friday probably a little later, and Thursday we'll just have to see. Anyways, just keep a hold. I will ping you guys if you haven't TMT alerts set. Make sure to set them in select alerts. Yeah. You're welcome, guys. I'll probably see you around tomorrow morning, or maybe Tuesday evening or Thursday evening. Anyways, maybe tonight for the guys that are on the beginner session. Is always open to enroll, so let me know if you want in. Anyways, guys, have a great day. Enjoy. Well, not the weather, because weather is shit, but well, enjoy your day. Enjoy your day. Ciao, ciao. Bye, bye.